Okay, so today let's start with Waaree Energies.
Great. So let's quickly go through the overview of what that business is. So currently, if you look at the highlights, Waaree is the largest manufacturer of solar PV modules in India, with installed capacity of 12 gigawatts as of March 23. Right? They have also plans to increase it. They currently enjoy a dominating share in the domestic market with roughly 21% of all solar modules coming from them. This is larger than most of their competitors, and we can go through that in detail in a bit. And roughly 44% of all Indian solar exports come from Waaree. Right. Just scrolling a bit, looking at their manufacturing facilities, there are five manufacturing facilities currently operating, four in Gujarat and one in UP. The good part is that both the states now have stable governments for the last two terms, or
Hmm.
more than two terms. So there is hardly any political risk or political unrest because of this. They also have started a 1.6 gigawatt facility in Texas, Houston, and plan to expand it to 3 gigawatts in 2016 and 5 in 2017. This is primarily to serve the US market. Um, our estimate is that it currently does not fully serve what is required in the US market. So their current demand in US is more than what their Houston plant can cover. And the last one is they're setting up a 6 gigawatt facility in Orissa. This will be a new facility expected to come live by 27. Most of their recent IPO, the money from most of the majority of the funds from the recent IPO would be used for setting up this plant. So the recent IPO was 3,600 crores, out of which 27,775 crores is supposed to be used for this facility. Also, there was an offer for sale for remaining 700 something crores, but that is not getting reinvested in the market, in the company. So a lot of their IPO proceeds will come to setting up this plant. And basically, this is their big bet at the moment.
Right.
Now,
I think we discuss a little bit about the Houston plant also when we discuss about Trump tariffs, but that will
yes,
come down later.
yes, absolutely. There are three other services: engineering, procurement and construction, project development, and operation and maintenance. They are, as the name suggests, but it's difficult to estimate the exact revenue at the moment. Vivek, do you have any insights on what the revenue estimates for these other services would be?
I have some numbers. Uh, so based on my figures, which I have, it's about 70% is focused on solar panels, roughly about 20% on EPC services, and roughly around 10% on solar inverters and batteries.
Got it. So this is still substantial, but not the major driver.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's quickly look at the IPO. So again, the IPO happened in October 2024 for a net offer size or issue size of 4321 CR, out of which 3600 CR was basically fresh issue and 721 CR was offered for sale. Um, Post IPO, uh, the promoter shareholding is decreased from 72% ish roughly to 64%. This is primarily that offer for sale that we talked
Right.
about.
Okay.
Um, so that's on the IPO. So yes, looking at the competitors. So currently India has 70 gigawatt of installed capacity for solar panels, and the top players are the ones listed, including Adani, Vikram, Tata Solar, Goldie, Premier, Jinko, MR, and Renesas. Compared to all of them, Waaree is still a significant leader. So, at
Mm.
least in the domestic market, they enjoy that market leadership. Also, the market is distributed, so it's unlikely that any one of them will become really big. The other question that I have, and I just thought of it, is some of these players are really big and could actually sway the market if they plan to invest significantly in it. For instance, Adani Solar or Tata Power Solar can significantly start investing in this market and increase their capacity. I don't know what their plans are. Any insights there?
Why Adani and Tata are still not trying to increase their capacity?
Yes, so
7
for
to
it.
8 gigawatts ahead from Adani and Tata Power. And then Jinko Solar is the only next one with 4 gigawatts. So
Yeah.
it's a huge, huge lead
Yeah,
over
so
others.
just going by the fact that Waaree is planning to set up and just taking that analogy that Waaree is planning to set up a plant in Odisha for 6 gigawatts and would take 3 years to do that. It can be expected that if anyone else is also planning to set up a plant, they at least have a 2 to 3, Waaree at least has a 2 to 3 year runway to maintain this lead. No one else is possibly coming up with a plant which will soon overtake it.
Right,
Right. Okay. So again, solar PV modules are also very. It's an international market where both manufacturing and sales happen internationally. So looking at the top global PV module manufacturers is also important. China clearly takes the lead here with various companies in China which are also leading the manufacturing globally. There's also an American company called First Solar, which is headquartered in Arizona, which is also one of the leading manufacturers of solar PV modules.
right. I mean, do we know of their capacity? No.
Give me a second. They have a capacity of 20 gigawatts as of 2025, with
Hmm.
facilities in US, India, Malaysia, and Vietnam. The US facility capacity is 10 plus gigawatts
So they're pretty much at par with
with Waaree.
Waaree.
Yes, and they possibly are the biggest in the US.
Right. I think one conclusion we can definitely make from this is that as far as India is concerned, uh, and at scale, we only have Waaree to implement things. I mean, both manufacture and implement.
Absolutely. And the interesting part is also Indian government uh, has levied custom duties on Chinese import on solar manufacturing. I think I had the number somewhere. It is roughly, I think, 30%. So the basic custom duty at the moment is 40%. It is reduced from 40 to 20. So it is basically between 25 to 20%, 20 to 25% for solar modules currently,
Right.
right? So yeah, so maybe the statement that in India is also protecting the Indian manufacturing market for solar PV modules does help in the competition compared to most of these Chinese players.
Probably we'll have to see what happens to with the US companies, uh,
Yes.
especially in case of Trump tariff. It could be the case wherein we may have to relax.
Yeah, so it could be very directional though as well. What I understand is the tariffs could be reduced for US imports and not for Chinese imports, or we could structure in a way that it gets reduced for US imports. Uh, so yeah, it could be directional. I think what I would still conclude is given that Indian government is promoting the manufacturing of solar modules and protecting that market with tariffs, compared to Chinese, we still the Waaree will continue to have an upper hand at least in the short term in the next few years.
Right. Makes sense.
If you look at the growth drivers, they are planning to expand their manufacturing capacity uh, to significantly. They have a robust order book. I think the numbers are slightly sometimes the numbers are differing from 43,000 crores to 50,000 crores, but somewhere in that ballpark of 40 to 50,000 crores is their current order book. They have penetration globally and have a diversified portfolio, but it's important to look at the risks, which is a little below. So I think from a risk perspective, manufacturing doesn't have a lot of risk, considering that they are in states which have stable governments.
Hmm.
Customer concentration has some risk, where roughly 57% of their operational revenue comes from their top 10 customers. So if there is a delay or a reduction in the requirement from their top 10 customers, there will be a reduction in there could be some risk. Also, percent of their global international market demand, also 45% of their order book is global, which is also indicating that Waaree is focusing primarily on international market demand, or at least trying to expand there.
Right.
One question I had, which I couldn't find a good answer, was but is that well, Waaree has a 12 gigawatt manufacturing capacity, at least installed manufacturing capacity. What is the operating manufacturing capacity? Are their plants actually running at 100% capacity, or they are lower than that? And I don't have a good answer.
Let's see, maybe when we go to the numbers, probably
Possibly
we'll
get some
we'll
answer
we'll
here.
get some answer. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about the international market risk?
So, as far as the international market is concerned, about 20% of the revenue is from US and rest is from other countries. I think they have recently expanded into Australia. They are in they're getting orders from Africa as well. Uh, but what's interesting is that considering that Trump may impose tariffs, uh, and Trump has also moved out of the Paris Climate Accord, which could mean the two things. One, if the tariff increases, obviously the um all the subsidies and benefits would go away, and the margins which are quite high right now would shrink big time because operating expenses would increase. That's one thing, and the other challenge is that what I'm also thinking is that for if as Trump has pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord, would that impact the demand in US? Because that is one of the key triggers uh, to actually move to alternative energy sources. Now, is Trump promoting the conventional energy source like oil over these things, and eventually some of the demand from US will take a hit? Is to be seen. Uh, as far as the first challenge is concerned, which is basically increasing the tariffs, um, Waaree may have some gears to manage this because they have a plant in Houston, as we discussed above. But I think in our conversation before, you had mentioned that probably their capacity is not that much and they may still depend on India to actually import. In that case, there may be an impact unless and until they increase their capacity. That's in US. That is one thing. But at least they have some levers to handle and mitigate that risk. So I don't see that risk impacting them for a long term. There would be a workaround which they will work with. But the bigger question which comes to my mind is that as Trump has pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord, will the demand persist in US? If not, uh, then it would be a challenge because then there will be a dent in that 20% of revenue which you see, and that could be a big thing for the company.
Exactly, and just adding to that, that if 55% of the order book is global markets, and if a demand overall goes down, then there could be order cancellations as well. So yeah, that still stays to be seen.
Yes, that still stays. So we see, that's the major risk which they are having currently. Okay, so Prabhu, this was the risk part which we discussed, and this
Yes,
stays. I mean, it is yet to be seen.
yes,
I think as in like this year, when the quarterly results come out, probably see if there is an impact or if they have been successful in mitigating. I'm assuming there would be some level of impact, but it's yet to be seen.
yes, makes sense.
That is one. The one thing I also wanted to talk to you about was key balance sheet parameters year on year. So we have from 2020 to 2025 H1, all the details here. So if you look at their total revenue, it has increased multiple folds, right?
Hmm.
It has literally uh,
Doubled every year.
doubled every year. And then, but the most interesting part is look at their net profit margins. Again, multi-fold increase. Even operating profit margins have got multi-fold increase.
So it shows that
So,
they are improving their profitability and operational efficiency as well.
yes, and somehow they are also able to maintain a good control on their procurement costs. That is something great about the company.
Yes,
Um, So as far as the revenues and the growth is concerned, both on margins and and profit, it looks to be very robust. And to be honest, like uh, beyond normal
Maybe
because
two things did happen in this period though. Indian government imposed a tariff on solar panels in 2022. So the growth that we see from 2022 onwards was supported by those
by the government. Okay,
by the
that makes
tariffs.
sense. That
Maybe a
completes the
question would
story.
be that does the latest budget continue to support these tariffs? And that's an open question that we should answer. Maybe yeah, maybe that's the primary thing that I can think of as the key growth driver here.
So in Union Budget 2025 also, Prabhu, I mean, there has been a lot of funds allocated for renewable energy.
Hmm.
Just trying to figure out the numbers.
So the two, okay, I got three numbers. As part of National Manufacturing Mission, Indian government has supported added 100 crores to support manufacturing of solar PV cells, turbines, batteries, electrolyzers.
Hmm.
Then production-linked incentives of 24,000 crores are extended. And then Surya Ghar Yojana, which is focused at installing solar rooftop solar panels in 10 million households, and government is offering a 40% subsidy. So clearly the
Hmm.
government is continuing to support it.
There's an
With
allocation of 20,000 crore compared to 6,500 crore in FY25. So there's a huge jump there as well.
Yes, so maybe so possibly that will continue to play out. That even if the demand from the global markets con- reduces, the demand from Indian market will continue to grow given the subsidies and given the allocation and the incentives that the government has provided.
Right. And Waaree is also into retail solar cells, as in there is both retail and commercial side of it.
Yes.
The cycle time of retail, as I could understand, was about 1.5 months.
Hmm.
From order, uh, you know, the whole order cycle takes about 1.5 months to the point it gets the whole cell gets implemented there at the house.
Hmm.
But the commercial cycle is longer. It varies from 9 to 18 months.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is that with movement into retail side of things, the realization of revenue is also faster.
Yes. Possibly yes. The PE looks very high though. A PE of 50 uh, seems to be on the higher side. Maybe we should look at what their competitors are doing when we go to the screen.
Right. Um, One thing, coming back to your initial question, which you asked was that what is their production volume, right?
Yes.
Installed capacity is one thing, but what is their production volume?
Hmm.
So the company reported a production volume of 3.3 gigawatts in H1 FY25
Hmm.
compared to 4.8 gigawatt for the entire FY24. Now this is where things, um, for me, don't exactly line up because if you have a capacity of 12 gigawatts, you are not even utilizing your half of your capacity.
Hmm.
So I think one thing to double click is possibly the demand is not like it's not as per your capacity, or there are challenges, there are operating challenges wherein you are still not able to realize and uh, go at full throttle and produce 100% of your capacity.
Yes, and you know where what becomes even more interesting is while they have clearly have six-ish gigawatts of extra capacity, they are installing a plant in Orissa for six additional gigawatts. So the investment in that additional capacity makes me think that possibly they're not able to fully utilize their or they're not able to operate their plants at their max production capacity. And hence we should possibly consider a discount in their production capacity of what will actually be available. So while they have a 12 to 13 gigawatt existing and they plan to go to 20 by 2027, it's more likely currently they are at 6 to 7 and they plan to go to 10 of production capacity.
So that is probably, potentially an area for them to improve.
Yes. Vivek, do you
Uh,
remember what was the subscription level for Waaree IPO? Was it oversubscribed, undersubscribed? It
um,
was subscribed 80 times. Qualified in it was subscribed 80 times. Okay, I got that number. Okay.
uh, the other thing is, earning per share as of February 2025 was about 49 rupees. Market capitalization stands at roughly around 60,500 crores. ROE is 21.2%, while ROC is 25.1%. The company's order book is approximately 20 gigawatts. And Prabhu, the challenge here is that if your production capacity is around, let's say, 6 to 7 gigawatts a year,
Hmm.
and your company order book is 20 gigawatts, then realization will take time.
Yes, absolutely. So their current revenue is 11,000 or 12,000 crores. Can bases the production capacity, and their order book is roughly 50,000 crores. Bases their production capacity, it is possible they'll be able to satisfy one third of the order book in the next year. So their revenue should hover somewhere around 50 to 20,000 crores if all things go well in FY25.
Right. But that's still huge from 2024 levels.
Yeah, that's still a jump. So you still see at least a 30-40% jump.
30-40% upside is definitely there. The company is exploring new global export markets. They have recently ventured into Australia, where they have got one of the big deals. I don't know exactly the size of the deal,
Hmm.
but they have entered into Australia. That also helps them from to increase their revenue percentage. Uh, you know, from global markets, and also like to a certain extent, decrease their dependency on US,
Sure.
which is good for the company. Uh, So this is one thing we can do is that we can just quickly go to the screener and look at the competitors.
So the competitors mentioned in screener are actually not the right ones. So we'll have to.
But Suzlon is the right one here.
Okay, let's compare Waaree, Suzlon, and Adani.
Hmm.
They possibly are the right. Um, should we copy paste and make it easy in a single view?
Waaree, Adani, Suzlon. These are the three major players, right? At least, yeah, I don't. Tata Power is one, but it's very difficult to segregate
Yes.
um, and compare.
So okay,
So,
let's stick to these three. Maybe they're good.
okay.
So if you look at the P, Waaree is still so okay, Waaree is equivalent to what Suzlon is and significantly cheaper than Adani means.
But comparing it to your ROC,
Hmm.
so Waaree, I mean, Adani is super costly,
Yes.
super expensive.
Yes.
Uh, and going by that, if you look at Suzlon also, Suzlon and Waaree is probably on the similar footing. Probably Waaree a little bit on the expensive side.
Yes.
But I don't know why Adani is so expensive, but if that is the bar, then Waaree has still quite a bit of upside.
Actually, that resonates also with the last column, which is the current market price versus sales. So Waaree is 5.3 times the sales. It's cheaper than Suzlon, which is 7.5 times, and Adani clearly is 13 times the sales. What is
The
quarterly?
trailing 12 months profit after tax, Waaree is still on the lower side. I mean, considering it has the highest capacity.
Trailing 12 months. PAT 12 months, yes.
So it's 988.25 crores. If you look at Adani, it's almost near to double.
Yes.
And Suzlon is also ahead.
So maybe that actually reflects the fact that Waaree is actually selling at a discount. That they're actually maybe not, right? Maybe what we should look at profit percentage after tax, or their order book size itself.
Huh.
Actually, no, no, actually, Waaree still has highest quarterly revenue.
Waaree has still has the highest quarterly sales. But does
So
that mean Adani and Suzlon has even better margins?
possibly, yes. It is possible that so Suzlon has been in this industry for much longer, I suppose, or has been a big player for much longer. Uh, is that fair to say?
Yeah, that is true.
So possibly they have higher cost operational efficiencies implemented compared to what Waaree had.
Hmm.
And maybe this goes back to that question or the statement that they only have 6 gigawatts of production capacity compared to 12 gigawatts of installed capacity. Possibly a lot of that operational inefficiency is coming from underutilizing their existing capacity.
True. Makes sense. Could be the case. Even if you look at the market cap,
Hmm.
Waaree is lagging behind Suzlon.
Yes, so clearly their sales is good and they have a good order book. But
Yes, yes.
their yeah, but since their profit is lower, their pri- the rest of it is possibly dragging some of the it is dragging down the efficiency. We should look at their trend though. If their profit after tax percentage or profit percentage have increased over year on year, then we
Hmm.
can give it the benefit that it will become better over time. Maybe if you bring up the screener and let's look
Hmm.
at how that operating profit trend or OPM percentage trend has increased. This might be a very short period because they've not been actually no, they
That's
still
another challenge. They have just listed themselves, yeah, last year.
if you go down to the profit and loss section, yes. Here we can see that the operating profit margin is clearly increasing from 5.44% to 12% and
So
14%.
this we discussed earlier also that their profit margins are increasing multiple folds.
Yes. Uh, and that trend has continued. So maybe some of the upside that is available is that if they continue this path of operating profit margin, their overall profits, which is currently trailing Suzlon and Adani, would catch up, which is the upside that they will get.
Yes. Yeah, the both the growth momentum and the momentum in increasing their margins
Hmm.
clearly comes out.
Yes.
And as long as they continue doing this, I mean, they can definitely get at par with Suzlon and Adani. One thing, so basically, Prabhuth, to conclude,
Hmm.
uh, on the growth aspects, I think the company has done very well in last 3 to 4 years, and the momentum continues.
Hmm.
Numbers are uh, actually showing that very clearly, right? Their order books looks very robust, and they are increasing their capacity also, which is great.
Hmm.
Their margins are also increasing multiple folds, which is awesome. The only challenge which we see is one is obviously the Trump tariff. We'll have to see how it pans out, and the demand in US.
Hmm.
Uh, so there it can potentially burn a hole in that 20% revenue
Yeah.
zone. That's one. And the other thing which we have clearly observed is that their production uh, and their as far as their overall capacity is concerned, there is still a lag, and that's a huge lag. It's about they're only kind of 50% up to their capacity. And probably this means that, as you pointed out, there could be operational inefficiencies and things which they probably need to fix from their end.
Yes.
But considering all that, what's your final take?
I think the fact that they increased their production capacity from 4.8 to 6.6, or at least annualized 6.6 gigawatts in the last 1 year, I think they are working on their operational efficiency. So I would give them that benefit that that they have the promise to fix that bit. The Trump Accord and the Trump Accord or the Trump Paris Accord deal and the tariff thing. I think the balance out would happen considering that Indian government is investing significantly in subsidizing solar power in India. So
Right.
hopefully, alternate additional demand comes up. Also, what we've seen lately in the news is hopefully India and US will not go on a tariff war, and they will be able to solve that more diplomatically. So that
Mm.
should also play out. So I don't, I while the risks stay and that's worth looking at, I I would bet on the fact that the risk will not become major issues.
Okay. Right. So looks to be a, I mean, the business growth continues. The story should ideally continue, and it looks to be a good start.
Yes, I agree. It does look good, like a good start, fundamentally.